Despite a lifetime of the very best education, students in our classrooms are failing to learn science. Many of these students will graduate from college with the same scientific misconceptions that they had on entering grade school. To test how a lifetime of education affects our understanding of science, we asked these recent graduates some simple questions in astronomy.
Okay, I think the seasons happens because as the Earth travels around the sun, it gets nearer to the sun, which produces warmer weather, and gets farther away, which produces colder weather, and hence the season.
And it gets hotter when we get closer to the sun, and it gets colder when we get further away from the sun.
These graduates, like many of us, think of the Earth's orbit as a highly exaggerated ellipse. Even though the Earth's orbit is very nearly circular, with distance producing virtually no effect on the seasons, we carry with us the strong, incorrect belief that changing distance is responsible for the seasons. Regardless of their science education, 21 of the 23 randomly selected students, faculty, and alumni of Harvard University revealed misconceptions when asked to explain either the seasons or the phases of the moon.
I can describe the relationship between scientific ideas or concepts using language that pertains to time, sequence, and cause and effect. The half tilted towards the sun gets more direct sunlight. The other half is tilted away and not getting direct sunlight, so it's winter on that part. The Earth orbits around the sun and the tilt doesn't change. So when the Earth orbits to the other side of the southern hemisphere is now tilted towards the sun and having summer, and the northern hemisphere is tilted away, so it's having winter. Spring is a transition from winter to summer, so that part of the Earth starts to get a little more direct sunlight. Fall is the transition from summer to winter. The most important thing that causes the seasons is the tilt of the Earth.
So we worked with students just on doing a lot of looking at the sky, looking at what's going on in the world, and using that to inspire questions. And so the students then created their own questions, but instead of deciding to do a video project, we thought that we could create a book by students for students that were frequently asked questions about space.
I can write explanatory text to examine a topic and convey ideas and information clearly.
Thinking about early third graders, and a target that I have in writing is I can answer a question clearly. So what does it mean to be able to clearly answer a question? There's a lot of parts to that. You, of course, need to be able to make a statement that kind of supports your main idea. You need to think about what it is that your reader needs to know to clearly understand the answer to your question. That might include details that support your main idea. That might include clarification of specific vocabulary terms and things that they need. So the act of writing about it really forced them to think more clearly about it and to go deeper into the content.
I can include illustrations when useful to aiding comprehension.
They also had to spend a lot of time on making a sketch that really explained the answer to their question too. So there was lots of drafts of that helped them to kind of hone in more and more on their own understanding of the question.
I can describe the relationship between scientific ideas or concepts using language that pertains to time, sequence, and cause and effect.
Kids had models, styrofoam balls on toothpicks, and a flashlight, and they had to demonstrate how it could be different, day right now and nighttime somewhere else.
But the second part of exhibition night, they were out in the lobby of the planetarium and had models, had diagrams, had the actual piece of writing that they wrote, the page that went into the book, and needed to be able to answer that question to people who came up to their tables. So all of those things really worked together to drive students' understanding of the answer to the question at the same time that it was driving their ability to write clearly.
Like a pier that will go for like a really long time without getting direct sunlight, and then there's also parts like the equator that always have direct sunlight on them because it's the warmest spot.